Funny, Trey.
I hope I'm a beloved. Hey, whenever I show up, the ratings go up, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Get ready for my guy Mick Foley, the dozens and dozens of viewers here on Southeast Sports Plus.
Exactly. Exactly. We want to talk some Arkansas Razorback football. We'll talk hoops in a bit, but this is a football program, and I know that we've talked about this for a while about Bobby Petrino and what he was going to bring with his football team. The champions of almost, I think, is what you helped coin it. But
it's somebody else's line. I stole that one, but that's true. Arkansas almost. They're going to change the name from the Razorbacks.
It's a good one. It's a good one. But this is a team that beat Arkansas State second game of the season, and they've lost every one since. And they've done it different ways. And this past one had to be one of the worst. Not to revisit this whole thing a ton, but to go over in the SEC has to be super demoralizing. How big was that? And then vis-a-vis the bye week, and what the team told itself as they get ready now for LSU?
Well, unfortunately, the university shuts down access during the bye week. They're the only show in town. They can kind of do what they want. Obviously, I'm always going to want more access, but hey, it is what it is. So we haven't really heard from them for a full week until Monday. Yeah. Petrino coming out of that Mississippi State game. I know you guys didn't have me on. You must not love me that much last week, coming out of that loss to Mississippi State. But look, he blamed the officiating, directly, indirectly, however you want to do it. They got called for 18 penalties for 193 yards.
Wow.
Absolutely. Wow. Whenever you watch the game back 100%, there were blown calls that looked like it was an agenda against Arkansas. But what about the other 14 calls that were a lot more accurate? So I tend to think that is a reflection of the head coach. And look, Bobby does have his ear to the ground. I think he has these players' attention. I heard some things that hey, we got to be more physical, more effort, more intense. And unfortunately, that you saw your head coach a little bit more. Not often is a head coach getting flagged for a personal foul. He got it for not letting go of the official, and that's kind of always been one of his problems. So he lacked the discipline in that moment. And they were tough. They were physical. They were pushing around. And some of that was hitting people out of bounds, hitting people after the whistle. So, sure, there were some close calls there, but took it a little bit too far. And in some instances against Mississippi State, that really cost them. But believe it or not, guys, this coaching search is getting a lot of attention.
Yep.
There still is support for Bobby Petrino as head coach. I certainly don't think he'll be the head coach, but there is still support. And I think the most likely path for him to be the head coach would probably be if they're just striking out left and right. If their first 4 or 5 people say no, I think maybe then they turn to Bobby Petrino. Yesterday, Little Rock Touchdown Club, one of the best touchdown clubs in the country. Shout out David Basil, former Razorback, does a tremendous job. I don't know if you guys ever see those cuts. Madre Hill. I believe he's definitely a former Razorback. I think he's a former Razorback running back.
Right.
He thinks Bobby should get the job. And I think a lot of that, a lot of the fan base is based on nostalgia. We've talked about this before. Last time we were good, he was the head coach. Make him the head coach again, we'll be good again. Never mind the fact that they're 0-4 and they're losing games on a bunch of penalties, and they're still losing one-score games just like they did under Sam Pittman. But Bobby's doing everything he can. I think he's, given the circumstance, taking over midseason, firing defensive coaches. I do much respect. I know he doesn't listen to me. I know he doesn't give a crap about me. But if he's listening, I know he's doing everything he can, and I think he's done a great job in getting the players' attention. But even he can't hide the fact that the results are the results, and they're 0-4, and they're probably going to be 1-6 or 0-7 under his watch. And for Hunter Yurachek to fire Sam Pittman and say, hey, the one-score games were a factor, well, then what's going to be the take with Bob Petrino going 0-7? It's we're close. We feel like if he gets his coaching staff, and again, Bob Petrino's a history of getting his coaching staff in place. It's kind of where it got away from him there in Louisville. It does not exactly have the most stellar coaching tree. Money changes a lot of that, but I don't know. And anybody that says they know, they don't really know. Rules to a coaching search. Cross off the top 3 names you could think of, then start at number 4. That's how it works, 80-90% of the time.
Trey, I heard over this past weekend while we're talking about the head coaching search that Arkansas flew in James Franklin for a visit and wanted to try to get a deal done this week. Do you have any update on that? Did he even fly in? Was that just bluff?
I don't know if I'm bad with technology or what, but I'm not. Some of these people were savants at tracking the
planes,
the airplanes. I don't know what would be the need for him to fly, and I think that they would be more likely that they would fly to him. And I don't want to refer to James Franklin by name, but we talked about fired head coaches that could be interested that have really good resumes in the past. And look, it makes sense for James Franklin to be interested. He's unemployed. So he's out there, and he's probably open to the highest bidder and the place that's going to give him the best chance to win. And I know there's interest from Arkansas, and why shouldn't there be? He's a winner with whatever it was, 31 wins, I think, and made 32 wins the previous 3 years before he got fired. I think Penn State just grew a little bit impatient there. He's a good coach. He's a winner. He's already done it in the SEC to some extent. I hear that he would be interested in the job because the expectations here are lower.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. I hate whenever I hear that, the sports bar talk about like, oh, well, you can win in the ACC because it's easier to navigate. That's nonsense.
Yeah,
these coaches, their egos are so big. They believe they can go 11-1 in any conference. And you get down to the bottom of the barrel. Every coach in the country that's a head coach, they think they're the best. They think they can win anywhere. So I don't think James Franklin cares about, well, Virginia Tech, the load would be lighter, or Arkansas, or no. I think, hey, what am I working with? What's my NIL budget? What do our facilities look like? All the stuff that's important. What are you going to pay me? He's getting $50 million from Penn State, so he's going to want a long contract to offset that. I don't think you're getting Franklin for anything less than an 8-year deal, because he's got $50 million coming to him the next 5 years from Penn State that you're going to have to offset. And then you get into year 6, 7, 8, and that's whenever he starts to make his money. So he's going to want a lot of security there, a lot of money for his staff, a lot of money for his roster. It would be a really good hire. I think if you're Arkansas, you can get James Franklin on the plane, landing at Drake Field. You run. Yeah. You make that hire. They could do a hell of a lot worse than James Franklin.
Absolutely. There was some internet rumors, and it got a few of our friends late last week, right before Memphis kicked off.
Virginia Tech, right?
Yeah, no. It was the Memphis coach, Ryan Silverfield. There was some rumors right before the Tulane game on, I think it was either that Wednesday or that Thursday before they kicked off, either Thursday or Friday. And
end up losing.
Yes, ended up losing that game. But there was a lot of internet rumors that he was going to be the guy. Now, obviously, we know that
at Arkansas, right?
Yes, at Arkansas. Yes,
I think I saw that. I think that was from like a Pete Nokos like
fake
the
misspelling. No 3.
Like I think I saw that too. I was like, there are people following it, but I see that crap out. Everybody's got a blue check mark these days.
Right, right. So yeah, there was that internet rumored, but I wonder how Arkansas fans would feel about a guy like Silverfield or like Summerall vis-a-vis what they would feel for a Bobby Petrino. Because I think you and I talked last time about hope, selling hope, and how important that is for fans. Which one outweighs the other? Is it the hope side of it, or is it the nostalgia side of, hey, we were good with this guy and this other guy's a chance?
I don't know. I think that Bobby Petrino is very divisive. I certainly think that he's got his backers in the state, fans, former players that remember how things were and stuff like that. No question. And then I do read the comments, on social media and whatnot, and I think there's people that are like, no way, not a good idea. So they need somebody that can unify the program, that really is going to get the financial backing. And I think James Franklin could be that guy. You know who else I think could be that guy? I think John Calipari is that guy. Right. I think that's a sign that, like, hey, look, we can get a big name in here. If we have a big enough name, we can find the financial backing for it, and we could support him and give him a team that can win a national championship. Does John Summerall or Ryan Silverfield, do they get people as excited as some other names out there? No, but they'd be some really good hires. I look at Eric Morris, and I'm really coming around on him. I know he hasn't really won at a high level, but doing well. And the quarterback whisperer, I keep on forgetting this kid's name that he's got now, but the story is so synonymous. He didn't even play in high school. He's a backup in high school, and he's got him. He's probably going to win the Burlsworth Trophy as the best walk-on in the country. He's putting up some of the best numbers of any quarterback in the nation. Worked with Patrick Mahomes. Worked with Cam Ward at an Incarnate Word, and I believe one season at Washington State. So wherever this guy goes, he seems to get a lot out of the quarterback. That to me is beneficial. Everybody talks about college football being NFL light. You're seeing that in the NFL. It seems like 80-90% of the coaching hires are offensive based, right? Because it's hard to find good offensive coordinators. Hey, if we get Drake May in New England, well we need somebody that's going to work with him for 10 years. Now I know they hired Mike Vrabel, but hey, Josh McDaniels he's never getting another head coaching job.
No, he's not.
So they got a lot of stability. I don't know. I say that Drake May wins like 3 straight MVPs. Josh McDaniels is going to get another job.
He's going to get another job.
Oh,
no question. No question.
We'll cross that bridge whenever. Drake May, I saw the numbers, fellas. I think he's number 1 on the board to win MVP this year.
You're dang right. You're talking to a Patriots fan here. I can't be more enthusiastic. I will say though, as an objective Patriots fan, we haven't played the hardest schedule, but the 2 teams we've played, the marquee teams that we've played so far this year.
You know what? So I think their floor at this point, barring something unforeseen like a major injury, Drake May, whatever. I think their floor is probably 11 wins.
Yeah, 11, 12 wins.
They win 11, 12 games. They're winning the division, home playoff game, and probably winning a game.
Yep.
That's a great year.
Yeah.
If you win 11, 12 games, win a playoff game, get bounced in the second round, that's a great year.
I've been telling all my friends, hey, we are ahead of schedule. Like, do you enjoy all of this right now? Because in 2 wins from now, Patriots will be sitting on 9 wins. I said 10 would be thrilled. And so 10 with the wild card. Be thrilled.
Listen up, Arkansas. Listen up, NFL. Listen, everybody around sports. Look at Robert Kraft. Kind of sneaky cheap.
Yes.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones, kind of, they've made a lot of money. Sneaky cheap. A lot of time being sneaky cheap makes you a good businessman. When you spend the money, when you're not worried about paying Gerard Mayo $15, $20 million to fire him.
Right.
When you're not worried about paying Mike Vrabel $10 million a year to hire him. When you bring in a real staff, when you bring in real free agents, look what happens.
Exactly.
You can turn Texas Tech, our guy Cody Campbell.
Yep.
Poor Joey McGuire doesn't get enough credit because you can spend all that money on players, but if you're not disciplined, you don't have the right guy in play.
Right.
I'm coming around on Joey McGuire. It's not just Mr. Moneybags Cody Campbell there. I saw some of that BYU game, and when I say some of it, I mean like 10, 15 plays of it. That looks like an SEC team.
It
they
does.
got dudes on defense.
They're big.
They are fast.
Big.
Man, are they fast.
Big.
I think not only are they going to get into the playoff, I think they're going to win a game.